Hey, what's up? This patch is packed with balance changes across the roster, a festive new theme, returning skins, system updates, ARAM plus arena tweaks, and a few quality of life improvements that all shape the way you play over the next couple of weeks. Riot Games themed this one around Lunar Revel, bringing beautiful new looks to champions and adding a few seasonal touches that many players have been hyped about. The Petals of Spring skin line is making its grand entrance, and with it we get some gorgeous new options that fit right into the celebration, including Divine, Architect, Porcelain, Aurelion Soul, and some standout Petals of Spring looks featured on champions like Lilia, Camille, Jace, Katarina, Yasuo, and more. The vibe across the rift feels festive and lively, and it looks like Riot really leaned into the seasonal flair this patch. Importantly, those Petals of Spring skins, aside from Lilia, are going to go into the Legacy Vault after patch 26.6, so if you want them in your collection, you'll want to snag them while they're out in the wild. The Lunar Revel seasonal theme rolls out with a spotlight on Lilia as a highlight champion, like giving players a fresh visual and narrative feel for her role in the event, and that celebration mood across the map. Riding alongside the Lunar Revel spark, classic winter sports skins are back for a limited time as part of the patch launch. Skins like Curling Vhagar, Festival Kassadin, Ice Toboggan Corki, Vancouver Amumu, Whistler Village Twitch, Team Spirit Anivia, the Mighty Jacks, and Union Jack Fiddlesticks will all be available between February 19th and February 26, 2026. These skins bring a bit of nostalgia and competitive Winterfest energy into the game for that 1 week window, and if you missed them previously, this is your shot to get them. Aside from all of that visual flair, Riot also dropped a massive stack of champion balance changes that go really deep into the numbers on over 30 different champions, adjusting damage, utility, scaling, ratios, cooldowns, and pretty much every statistic you can think of on these characters. For starters, Ambessa gets a slight nerf to her monster damage, trimming down that bonus monsters deal to help balance her jungle presence. Annie gets some solid improvements thanks to boosted base damage on Disintegrate and a shorter cooldown on Molten Shield, which should make her feel just a bit more viable in both mid lane and support roles. Aphelios sees his passive bonus AD taken down a peg across ranks to curb some of his dominance at all stages of the game. Brand picks up a bit of extra juice to his jungle clear, raising passive monster damage and the non-epic monster cap so he can hold his own better on clears. Braum takes a nerf on his ultimate damage and gets an increased cooldown, pushing back on his ability to be an overwhelming frontline engage in late games. Camille gets a fun tweak where her E now grants attack speed whenever she dashes off a wall, even if she doesn't connect with an enemy, smoothing out her outplay potential. Darius gets his jungle monster damage ratio nudged up so he's not feeling so weak when he's off the beaten path. Fizz gets a bump to his bonus monster damage on W, helping jungle clear feel a bit smoother for him. Graves is being rewarded more for stacking quick draw with increased armor and MR per stack. Gwen gets her burst damage turned down across Q and R, and her minion modifier tuned up slightly so her laning feels less oppressive. H-Way gets boosted shield values and an upgraded ally shield modifier, plus reduced cooldown on his ultimate, which can help him feel stronger in team coordination. Eloy sees a bump to her tentacle damage scaling so she has more punch in lane. Jinx gets slightly reduced armor growth, making her squishier so that positioning mistakes feel more punishing. Kassadin gets trimmed health growth and an eased E slow so his scaling threat is more balanced. Kayle has her Q damage across ranks reduced to bring her late game increments down a bit. Kennen sticks with the same ultimate cooldown but still gets tuned with other meta changes. Lee Sin's W2 now grants Omnivamp instead of separate Spell Vamp and Lifesteal, meaning he heals for minions, monsters, and champions more consistently. Lux gets a mana pool decrease, but higher regen and lower cooldowns on her Q and W to help her playstyle feel more fluid. Nafiri's base regen and growth dips slightly, and Q and E mana cost change to subtly influence her early game. Kiana gets reduced health growth, and Rengar has his Q damage and ratios tweaked back to tone down some of his high-level burst. Rumble is slightly more squishy with lower base HP and his ultimate max damage toned in certain ranks. Ryze has a fix that now correctly grabs allies near the edge of his ultimate while pathing out. Samira gets a lifesteal buff on Q and R to help with sustain. Senna sees her Q and W bases and ratios adjusted to unify her damage output better. Swain is tuned with slower slows, reduced scaling on his ultimate, and lower slow figures overall to balance his control. Syndra gets modest reductions to her W and R damage. Teemo sees an upgrade to his E's monster damage, and Twitch gets trimmed health and armor growth to dial back some of his lane presence.